February 14th, 1929, 1:13 p.m. Alexian Brothers Hospital, Chicago. Frank Gusenberg was dying. 14 bullet holes. Head, chest, stomach. The sheets beneath him soaked with blood. His breathing came in shallow, rattling gasps. Detective Sergeant Clarence Sweeney stood over the hospital bed, notepad in hand, watching a dead man refuse to accept it. Frank, your brother Pete is dead. 6 others are dead. You're dying. Who shot you? Gusenberg's eyes focused on Sweeney. They'd grown up 3 blocks apart in Lakeview, played stickball on the same streets. Sweeney knew Frank's mother before she died, knew his whole family. This wasn't just cop and criminal. This was neighborhood. Frank's lips moved. Nobody shot me. The words barely audible. Nobody shot me. Sweeney leaned closer. Frank, I know who you are. I know what you do. But 7 men are dead in that garage. We need to know who did this. Gusenberg turned his head away. I ain't no copper. Those would be his last words to police. He died 3 hours later at 1:30 p.m. The code of omerta intact. Or so everyone believed. What nobody knows, what the history books won't tell you, is that Frank Gusenberg did talk. Not to police, not to reporters, but to one person, his wife, Ruth. And what he told her in those final minutes changed everything we thought we knew about the St. Valentine's Day massacre. To understand what Frank Gusenberg saw that morning at 2122 North Clark Street, you need to understand the war that made the St. Valentine's Day massacre inevitable. Chicago, 1929, Prohibition's 9th year, $60 million. That's what bootlegging was worth annually in the city alone. Enough money to buy politicians, judges, entire police precincts. Enough money to start a war. And Chicago was at war. 2 empires controlled the city. On the south side, Al Capone, 30 years old, already public enemy number 1. He controlled the speakeasies, breweries, distilleries, gambling dens, brothels. Estimated income, $100 million a year. Silk suits, Cuban cigars. Ruled his territory like a king. But Capone had one problem. Bugs Moran. George Bugs Moran ran the North Side gang. Irish and Jewish crew against Capone's Italian-Sicilian outfit. Controlled Lincoln Park, Lakeview, Rogers Park, the wealthy neighborhoods. Moran called Capone the Beast, said it with contempt, said it in public. By 1929, this wasn't about money. Both men were rich beyond imagination. This was about complete control of Chicago, personal revenge. The North Side gang had been dying for 5 years. Dean O'Banion, killed by Capone's men in 1924. Jaime Weiss, killed in 1926. Vincent Drucci, killed in 1927. Moran was the last man standing. He'd tried to kill Capone at the Hawthorne Hotel in 1926. Moran's men riddled Capone's headquarters with thousands of bullets. Capone survived. Barely. He never forgot. By early 1929, Capone decided Moran had to die, be erased, along with his entire command structure. Frank and Peter Gusenberg, brothers who grew up on 434 Roscoe Street, Lakeview. Their mother died when they were children. Peter found her body in the kitchen. He was 8. Their father worked long hours. The boys raised themselves on the streets. Petty crime became armed robbery. Armed robbery became murder for hire. By 1929, they were Moran's top enforcers. Frank Gusenberg, born October 11th, 1893, married to 2 women simultaneously, Lucille and Ruth. Neither knew about the other. Frank's specialty was contract killing with Thompson submachine guns. Reputation, tight lips. Gusenberg, never talked, never broke. Peter Gusenberg, older brother, born September 22nd, 1888, multiple prison sentences, married to Myrtle Gorman, told her he was a traveling salesman, actually one of Chicago's most feared gunmen. Peter had personally helped kill two Capone allies, Antonio Lombardo and Pasqualino Pazzi Lolordo, both presidents of the Unione Siciliane. The Lolordo killing, January 1929. Final straw for Capone. Murdered in his own home. Police knew the Gussenberg brothers did it. Capone knew they did it. This made it personal. Capone told his lieutenant Jack Machine Gun McGurn, "I want them all dead." McGurn was about to orchestrate the most infamous gangland killing in American history. It all started with a phone call. February 13th, 1929. Unknown caller contacts Bugs Moran. Offers truckload of hijacked old log cabin whiskey from Detroit's Purple Gang. $57 per case. Below market rate. Delivery time, 10:30 a.m. February 14th. Location, SMC Cartage Company Garage, 2122 North Clark Street. Moran agreed immediately, but there was no whiskey. Capone had been in Florida since February 9th, establishing his alibi. Meanwhile, McGurn assembled the hit squad. Fred Killer Burke, specialist who'd killed before in police uniform. John Scalise and Albert Anselme. Veteran hitmen. Joseph Lolordo, brother of murdered Patsy, wanted revenge, plus others whose identities historians still dispute. Military precision. They rented a lookout apartment across from the garage. Two men obtained authentic Chicago police uniforms. Acquired a police-style Cadillac complete with siren, gong, rifle rack. Two Thompson submachine guns prepared. One with 20-round magazine, one with 50-round drum. Two shotguns for finishing work. The plan was elegant. Fake police raid. Line them up. Execute them all. The weapons came from Peter von Francius, the armorer of gangland. 45 caliber Thompsons. Fires 600 rounds per minute. Von Francius offered a $2 service. File off serial numbers. Bob the Hammers. These exact weapons would later be traced to Burke through forensic ballistics. February 14th, 1929. Morning. 7 men gathered at the garage, waiting for whiskey that would never come, waiting for Bugs Moran. But Moran was late that morning, and being late would save his life while condemning 7 others to history's most brutal execution. Inside 2122 North Clark Street, 10:25 a.m. The garage was freezing. Unheated brick walls, frigid February morning. 7 men waited. Motor oil mixed with whiskey. Cigarette smoke hung in cold air. Peter Gussenberg, 40, wore an expensive suit. $681 in his pocket. Checked his watch. Where was Moran? Frank Gussenberg stood near the window. 35. Colt Detective Special 38 in his jacket. He'd told Ruth he'd be home by noon. Take her to lunch. Normal life, if such a thing existed for a contract killer. James Clark, real name Albert Kachelik, leaned against the wall. Moran's brother-in-law. The North Side's most ruthless killer. Dozens of murders. Never convicted. Adam Heyer, 40. The gang's bookkeeper. Rented this garage under the false name Frank Snyder. Kept meticulous records. All coded. All locked in his head. Albert Weinshank, 35. Managed Central Cleaners and Dyers Company. Front business for laundering money. Owned the Alcazar Club speakeasy. Expensive overcoat. Fur collar. Looked legitimate. Almost believed it. Dr. Reinhard Schwimmer, 29. Was different. Optometrist with a hoodlum complex. Not a gang member. Just liked the excitement. His mother would later testify. Heartbroken. Unable to understand why her son wanted this life. John May, 36. Father of 7. Wore grease-stained coveralls. Ex-safecracker trying to go straight. Only there to fix a truck wheel. $50 for the day. Brought his German Shepherd. Highball, to work. The dog chained under the truck. The clock ticked toward 10:30. Across town. Bugs Moran slept late. Finally left around 10:20 with Willie Marks and Ted Newberry. Driving toward Clark Street, running 15 minutes behind. 15 minutes, that would mean everything. 10:30 a.m. Exactly. A black Cadillac pulled up outside. Everything changed. 4 men exited. 2 wore Chicago police uniforms, dark blue, brass buttons, badges gleaming. 2 wore civilian clothes, long overcoats, fedoras low. Neighbors saw them, thought nothing. Police raids happened constantly, just cops doing their job. Peter Gusenberg saw uniformed officers enter. Raid. Stay calm. We've been through this before. Standard procedure. Line up. Get searched. Pay the fine. Go home. The police spoke with authority. All right. Everyone against the wall. This is a raid. 7 men complied, turned to face the brick wall. Hands raised. No resistance. Why would there be just cops? Annoying. Expensive. Not dangerous. Peter muttering about bribes. Dr. Schwimmer nervous. No criminal record. John May confused. Just a mechanic. Then 2 men in civilian clothes entered from the rear, long coats off, revealing Thompson's submachine guns. Frank Gusenberg realized first. This isn't a raid. His hand moved toward his .38. Too late. 10:31 a.m. The massacre. First burst from the Thompson with 50-round drum, sweeping left to right across 7 heads. Deafening. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. Second burst. Chest level. Systematic. Military execution. Third burst. Stomach level. Ensuring no survivors. 70 to 90 bullets in 10 seconds. Shotgun blasts. 2. John May and James Clark shot in the head at close range. Frank Gusenberg took 14 bullets. Still conscious. Still breathing. Peter died kneeling in a chair. Highball howling. Terrified. Trapped under the truck. The deception continued. Civilian killers dropped weapons. Raised hands in surrender. Uniformed police marched them out at gunpoint. Neighbors watching thought exactly what they should. Cops just arrested 2 criminals. The Cadillac drove away calmly. No sirens. Perfect execution. Outside. Bugs Moran pulled onto Clark Street, saw the police car. He immediately turned around. Luckiest decision of his life. 10:40 a.m. Highball howling continuously. Mrs. Alphonsine Morin lived across the street. She sent a tenant to investigate. He opened the garage door, saw 7 bodies on the floor, 160 shell casings scattered like brass confetti. Called police. 10:55 a.m. Real police arrived. Captain Thomas Condon, Sergeant Thomas Loftus, Detectives Joseph Connolly and John Devane. They'd seen gang violence, but this was different. Slaughter. 6 dead. 1 alive. Frank Gusenberg. 14 bullet wounds. Detectives' report would read conscious and coherent. Sergeant Clarence Sweeney recognized Frank. Same neighborhood. Sweeney knelt beside him. Frank. Who shot you, Gusenberg? Barely breathing. Nobody shot me. Ambulance to Alexian Brothers Hospital. Frank survived 3 more hours. Questioned repeatedly. Answer never changed. No one shot me. I won't talk. I ain't no copper. Died at 1:30 p.m. Omerta intact. Or so everyone believed. But before Frank Gusenberg died, before the morphine took him completely, he did something that would remain hidden for decades. He told his wife the truth. 1:15 p.m. Alexian Brothers Hospital. Ruth Gusenberg arrived. Frank's actual wife. Not Lucille. The other one. The doctors gave her 5 minutes alone. Frank was drifting in and out of consciousness. Morphine couldn't touch the pain. 14 bullet holes. He knew he was dying. Ruthie. His voice barely a whisper. Listen. She leaned close. Her husband's breath rattled in his chest. Blood soaked through the bandages faster than nurses could change them. They were dressed like cops. Badges, uniforms, everything. We thought it was a raid. We've been through dozens. We turned to the wall. Hands up. Routine. Frank's eyes closed. Opened again. Fighting to stay conscious. Then I heard the safeties click. Military style. All at once. I knew. I turned. Saw the Thompsons. The one on the left. I recognized his eyes. Big guy. Scar on his hand. Voice like gravel. Ruth would later tell no one this detail. But Frank described the shooter. Build. Voice. Specific features. He couldn't confirm the identity 100%. But his suspicion was strong. Fred Burke. It was Capone's men. I'm sure of it. But I can't tell the cops. Frank's hand gripped hers weakly. Omerta. Ruth. If I break it, they'll come for you. For everyone. You understand she understood. Breaking the code meant a death sentence for everyone Frank loved. Even dying. Honor mattered. Revenge would come. But through proper channels. Not police. Capone had eyes everywhere. Informants in every precinct. Talking to cops meant Ruth became a target. His family became targets. Everyone. Do you understand? Frank asked again. Yes. Ruth whispered. I understand. Frank died at 1:30 p.m. Ruth Gusenberg walked out of that hospital and disappeared from public record. Possible witness protection, though nothing official existed in 1929. Or she simply vanished into obscurity, changed her name, left Chicago. The deathbed confession remained unverified, but completely logical based on Frank's character. While Frank Gusenberg died protecting the code, the St. Valentine's Day massacre investigation was about to expose Capone's biggest mistake. Coroner Herman Bundesen conducted the autopsies. Handwritten reports described wounds in clinical detail. Bodies severely damaged, multiple injuries, systematic execution. The press went insane. Massacre, gangland bloodbath, photos published nationwide. 7 corpses lined against a brick wall, blood pools, shell casings. America had never seen anything like it. Public outrage reached fever pitch. Mrs. Alphonsine Morin had seen the police leaving. Told investigators about the uniformed officers. Mrs. Jeanette Landesman, another neighbor, told the same story. 6 days later, both women received letters. 3 words. Keep your mouth shut. Morin fled Chicago that night. Witness intimidation confirmed this was a professional hit. Reporters tracked down Bugs Moran, asked who did it. Moran's response became legend. Only Capone kills like that. First public accusation. He broke gangland silence because all his men were dead. What did he have to lose? Capone responded from his Florida estate. The only man who kills like that is Bugs Moran. Perfect alibi. He'd been in Florida for 5 days. Witnesses included visits to the Dade County Solicitor's office, ringside seats at a high-profile boxing match, multiple society parties, photographs, alibis. Capone was confident. No evidence linked him directly. But 10 months later, everything changed. December 1929. Fred Burke, drunk, crashed his car in St. Joseph, Michigan. Patrolman Charles Skelly intervened. Burke shot him 3 times and fled. Skelly died. Police raided Burke's bungalow. What they found changed the case. $320,000 in stolen bonds, a bulletproof vest, an arsenal, 2 Thompson submachine guns, pistols, shotguns, tear gas canisters, 5,000 rounds of ammunition. Police sent the Thompsons to ballistics experts. Forensic ballistics was new science in 1929, but it worked. The bullets matched. Both Thompsons had been used in the St. Valentine's Day massacre. One gun also matched bullets from the Frankie Yale murder in New York, 1928. The evidence was irrefutable. Burke was identified, but he escaped, went into hiding, eventually caught in 1931, convicted of killing Officer Skelly, sentenced to life in Michigan, never charged with the massacre, insufficient evidence without witnesses. He died in prison, 1940, never admitted involvement. Capone had planned the perfect crime, military precision, perfect alibi, but the massacre had consequences he never anticipated. The St. Valentine's Day massacre made headlines worldwide. This wasn't just another gang killing. This was systematic military execution, police uniform deception. Civilians were horrified. President Herbert Hoover read the newspaper coverage, told Treasury Secretary Andrew Mellon 5 words: "I want that man Capone in jail." The federal government got involved. This shifted from a local Chicago problem to national priority. Before the massacre, Capone was seen as a colorful outlaw, almost a Robin Hood figure by some. He gave to charity, opened soup kitchens during the Depression. After the massacre, he was public enemy number 1. Monster. Threat to society. Business leaders and politicians demanded action. Chicago's reputation was suffering. Tourism declining. Federal investigation began. The massacre was too big, too brutal, drew too much attention. Capone tried to maintain his Florida alibi, but now he was under the microscope for everything. March 1929. Capone was subpoenaed to a federal grand jury. He failed to appear, arrested for contempt. First federal charge, then the cascade began. May 1929. Arrested in Philadelphia for concealed weapons. Suspicious timing. He spent 9 months in prison. February 1931. Convicted of contempt. 6 months. June 1931. Indicted on 22 counts of income tax evasion. October 1931. Trial. Convicted. Sentenced to 11 years. Frank Gussenberg never got his revenge. But the St. Valentine's Day massacre destroyed Al Capone anyway. Bugs Moran survived physically, destroyed professionally. He lost his entire command structure in one morning. Within 2 years, Capone's outfit controlled the North Side. Moran was relegated to small-time robberies. He told reporters in 1930, "I lost my best men that day. I lost everything." Arrested for robbery in 1946. Sent to federal prison. Died in Leavenworth. 1957. Lung cancer. From gang boss to nobody. All because he slept late one morning. Ruth Gusenberg disappeared from public record. Took her secret to the grave. Lucille, Frank's other wife, learned about Ruth from the newspapers. Peter's wife Myrtle finally learned her husband wasn't a traveling salesman. The families buried the brothers in Rose Hill Cemetery. John May's 7 children were left fatherless. Charity cases. Dr. Schwimmer's mother, Josephine, testified at the inquest. Heartbroken. Her son killed for thrill-seeking. The coroner had to prepare her for the condition of his body. Jack McGurn, the planner. February 15th, 1936. One day after the 7th anniversary of the massacre, McGurn was bowling at Avenue Recreation Bowling Alley. Machine gun burst killed him. A Valentine's card left on his body. Likely Moran's revenge, though never proven. Ironic justice. Killed exactly 7 years later. Highball the dog. Only living witness. Traumatized by the massacre. Never recovered. Chicago police tried to care for him. Eventually put down. Couldn't function after what he witnessed. Mourned by some as an innocent victim. The garage at 2122 North Clark Street became a tourist attraction. Morbid curiosity. Demolished in 1967. Entrepreneur George Patey saved bricks from the wall. Tried various business ventures. 300 bricks now displayed at the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. Bullet holes still visible. But the biggest consequence wasn't about revenge or bricks or dead dogs. It was about power. Before Valentine's Day, 1929, Capone was one of several Chicago gang bosses. After, he was the undisputed king. Moran's territory absorbed. No more serious rivals. Complete control. Bootlegging, gambling, prostitution, protection rackets, everything. But at what cost? Federal attention never stopped. October 17th, 1931. Capone convicted of tax evasion. November 24th. Sentenced to 11 years, sent to Atlanta, then Alcatraz. By 1939, released. Syphilis had destroyed his mind. January 25th, 1947, died in Florida. Brain damage from disease, from King of Chicago to confused invalid in 16 years. The St. Valentine's Day massacre proved forensic ballistics worked. First major case using comparative bullet analysis. Set precedent for firearms evidence. Led to creation of the FBI's Firearms Division. Modern CSI techniques trace back to this investigation. Most famous gangland killing in American history. Defines Prohibition-era violence. Inspired countless movies. Some Like It Hot. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Endless documentaries. Symbol of lawlessness. No one was ever formally charged. Fred Burke identified but convicted only for killing Officer Skelly. Other shooters suspected. Scalise and Anselmi, both murdered by Capone in May 1929. Capone never faced trial for it. Officially unsolved. Realistically, everyone knows who ordered it. Frank Gusenberg's silence became legend. Nobody Shot Me entered gangster mythology. Symbol of loyalty unto death. The ultimate gangland honor. Violence for power's sake destroys everyone. Capone won the battle, lost the war. Perfect execution, perfect planning, still brought him down. His greatest victory was his greatest mistake. If he'd left Moran alone or killed him quietly, might never have drawn federal heat. The massacre was unnecessary. He was winning anyway. Ego and revenge destroyed him. February 14th, 1929, 10:31 a.m. 7 men dead. One survivor who refused to talk publicly. And one crime that ended the reign of America's most powerful gangster. In the end, everybody talks. Some to the cops, some to their wives, and some to history.